Good morning, this is Eric Kampmann and this is Sunrise. Yesterday we spent some time talking about the prodigal son and how I had identified with the older son, but in fact my life story might be a bit closer to the prodigal son story of going away, living large, coming back and seeking the forgiveness of the Father who accepted me back into the fold. That's where I found myself in 1987, 2 years before my company would actually go into Chapter 11. And where I was the day after I went and bought this Bible was lost. I was totally lost. And yet, something like the Jonah story, where Jonah is cast into the sea and falls way down to the depths and then is suddenly miraculously saved by a whale that swallows him. And 3 days later he's spit out onto the shore, and eventually he pursues God's call on him. But I didn't really know very much about that at the time, and so what I felt I needed to do, I felt kind of an inclination after I had read through the New Testament and didn't really understand very much of it at all. I started dabbling in the Bible more or less on a daily basis. In the meantime, my life was becoming, my business life was becoming more and more critical, more and more difficult. And in 1989, in March, late March of 1989, for a whole bunch of reasons, my company went into Chapter 11. Now, as I look back on the time when I had prayed the prayer and then I had been called to go buy a Bible, and then a few years later, 2 years later, I find myself in Chapter 11. That's not a story that seems to make any sense, because the Chapter 11 seemed like just the opposite of an answered prayer. But what happened to my business and what happened to me during this episode of extreme pressure was life-changing. And without the Bible as part of this story, I am almost certain it would have had a very different ending. This is Eric Kampmann, and this is Sunrise.